Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm sharing with you some more of the hidden journaling spots. The last one I did was just a single one, but today I'm going to do a few. So these come from my scrapbooking, card making background. So this one is just a piece of 8x8 paper because I'm continuing to use my Tim Holtz paper. And I have scored it at 2, 4 and 6 this way and 2, 4 and 6 this way. And now I need to fold it corner to corner like this. So just make sure that you get your corners folded properly because it needs to be fairly accurate for it to work. So I'll just check on this side that I've got that really well in the corner. I find it hard to use the scoreboard to make these corners, but you may not, so you might do better off in a scoreboard. It just doesn't seem to work for me to get that accuracy that I'm looking for. So just corner to corner. Make sure when you've done your scoring that you've gone through and you've burnished all the scoring lines that you've done. That's important because otherwise you'll struggle to get things folding correctly. One more. Oh, I may have done that one already. Alright, so now you've got this thing. I'll just turn up the right way. Now you've got this thing that's got all score lines all over it. You probably can't see them too well because of the actual paper I've used. But this is what you do. You pinch these two bottom ones here so that you kind of come in like this. I'll do that again on all four sides, so I'll show you again. So you've just pinched, I've just pinched together that square and that square to come in like this to create this triangle. Okay, so we'll go to the other corners and just repeat the same thing. So again, you pinch these two triangles in, this two squares together, so that when you're doing so, you're creating another score line on them, creating these triangles at the bottom. Okay. Make sure that when you do that, you're actually scoring them and burnishing them with your score tool, because it will create that crisp edge for you that you're looking for. You can see there I've put them together. Doesn't matter how you do it as long as you achieve what you need to achieve. So when you fold them in, you need to squish this piece together like this. So you'll have them and then open it up. Then fold the corners back. Is 4 inches by 4 inches, so it will fit perfectly in there. And then as well, I've taken some other card. I'll just trim this up a little bit. And I've cut it into a 2-inch square, and then I've cut it in half diagonally because that will fit in here. So you could go through and do this for all of your little bits that you've got left, the spaces that you're not going to see when it's open, and have some journaling spots in here without sort of, you know, making the paper completely go away. So you could put 4 like this down here. The other thing you could do, of course, would be to put these ones here. See if I can get that one to go there, and that one, and that would be a piece of 2-inch paper. So you could have all of those done with the different little journaling spots so you can write in them. I just might put some of those on since I've gone to the trouble of cutting them out, and I may well cut some more and put them in as well. This one in the middle I'm going to leave loose so that I can take it out right on both sides and pop it back in. In fact, you can put a couple, 2 or 3 of that sort of thing on top. And this is just card that I had in my scrapbooking box of scrapbook papers, you know, leftover papers and things that I keep. So I'm not using a whole new sheet of paper. It's just something I had left over. I use this particular colour of paper a lot. I buy it in bulk because I use a lot of it. I just find it's easier to have it on hand. It's a colour that just goes with everything, and it's just a basic sort of crafty brown colour. So then when you put it into a journal, your page will hold this closed, and it will pop up over time. It'll learn to stay in place a bit more, I think, the more it's folded down. And then when you want to use it, you can just pop it up like this and then pop it back in and write, you know, after you've done your journaling. And that's one of the ideas I've got for you today. Now for the second one, I have some measurements. I don't often do measurements, but for this one I think you really need to. So I'm starting off with a piece of cardstock that is 10 inches long and 5 inches high. And I'm going to fold that in half. So that's going to be like my base, and this will be the front cover. Just fold that up. And then I've got another piece of cardstock that is 5 inches by 5 inches. I've cut around at the 1/2 inch mark on 3 of the sides and scored the final one at 1/2 inch. That sits on top of here like that. And then on this end I have scored at the 1/2 inch, 1 inch and 1.5 inches in. Bring that up to the camera a bit so you can see where I've made those score lines, so that you've got 3 score lines there like that. And that is all going to sit in here. So it will stick on 3 sides here and not this side. And then I have another piece of paper which is the size of the internal here. So it is 4 inches by 4.5 inches. I have scored it at the 1/2 inch mark. The reason being is that I'm going to pull this piece out like this, and then I'm going to stick these two together. Now to stick them together I could just use the piece of tape. I didn't have to have this 1/2 inch overlap, but I thought it would be useful. And then all of this is going back in here, so when those are stuck together, this piece of paper will push it and it will start to fold up like that. So let's stick these pieces together first and I'll show you what I mean. Now I have decided to use my scraps, so I've managed to get 2 in the cardstock and I've got 1 in this, which will still be fine because you can journal on the top of it. So then stick this piece, just the 3 sides, not the 4th side, stick this down. You need to be able to pull this in and out, but I also want to put a piece on this before I go any further. I thought the way to do this would be a circle. I'll cut the circle and then I will put a half the circle on here, so that when you open it up you'll have still the circle. So I'll just work out that's about there, put some glue and stick it on. So you could stick this into your junk journal. Now I have got a directional paper, which is the man on the bicycle. But if you didn't have a directional paper, you could just tip it up the other way and you could have it pulling down rather than to one side. So you've got this little tiny piece sticking out, all right? So with these pieces, I will now put down my card. So this first one will go on here, like this. And that's the correct side. So some glue down on here. You need to make sure that these pieces are not too big to go through this, so they have to be the same or slightly smaller than the opening that's in here. Then I will pull that one out just while I get the next 2 done. So the glue I'm putting on is just going on that 1/2 inch that I scored earlier. And then I'm going to put this one on here. And pull this one down. And then this one, the last one, will go on here. So you can see it in action. I've pulled out my travel journal and I'm going to put it in here. So you'll actually see it working. Now you have to make sure that you have it on the right hand side if it's coming across like that, or you won't be able to pull it obviously if it's on the left hand side. I'll just find a spot for it. I'm going to pull this apart today. I think it's just getting too big for me to work in. I'm going to rehouse the signatures. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures in this one, so it's pretty big. I'm going to rehouse them into something that works a bit better for me. Now also, I'm not sure that I want it on a piece of paper. I think I do want it on a heavier piece of cardstock so that it will run in and out a lot easier. Maybe I'll put it here at the back. Put it down here. That will be fine. I'll just put it on the edge there so this little bit sticks out. All right, and then that will open up, and now you can pull this so that it will open up like this. 1, 2, 3, like that. So there you go. And of course when you finish with it, you need to push it all in again. There you go. And then the one I made earlier is still sitting here, and I want to put it down as well. Maybe I'll pop some colour on this one. You'll still see the little kids in school, but again you'll be able to pop this out and write on it, and you can see why I need to rehouse the journal. I will do that, and I will tape it when I do it, which is I don't know, have to think about what I'm going to do yet, because it's quite difficult to actually hold this open when you're trying to write in it. It's just too chunky. Would have been maybe good with 3 signatures, but I've done 5. It's pretty big. So this one I'm going to stick on here while I'm at it. So I think I like to show you that, you know, they're actually in a journal rather than I've just made a whole bunch of stuff, but I've never actually used them. I hope I've got it up the right way. No, I haven't. It has to come up. Okay, quickly before it dries, I forgot to check that my papers were up the right way. Okay, that's fine. I've managed to get it back down without too much damage at all to the journal. And then you pop that up, take this out. That's up the right way, so I'm happy now. And then all of this would go in, and when you fold that up, it's all held together. And then the final one that I'm going to make is going to be another type of slider. So I've cut all my papers, and now I'm just going to work through the different pieces I need to make. I'm just doing this with white cardstock, and I've got some pattern pieces as well that I need to make. So with the smallest piece here, I'm going to just do 1/4 inch. Now I'll do it on the other side because this is a rough basil cardstock. So I just want to do, sorry, 1/2 inch I should say, not 1/4. 1/2 inch on each side of this. And draw 2 lines. And then do another 1/2 inch on it. So the piece that I'm going to cut out are these pieces here. The next thing you need is some plastic. I've got this plastic bag. It's not too thin, it's not too thick. Hopefully it'll work. And I also have a bird chirping outside the window. You know, they really are very happy lately, the birds out on the tree, on my neighbour's tree. And they're quite pretty, so I don't want to shush them. So what I need to cut is a piece that's going to fit in this slot. So I just thought that I would mark this and then see how I go. I'm just using a Sharpie so it will write on the plastic. Now in terms of length, you need it so it will go more than on this both sides and a little bit more that overlaps. I probably haven't explained that very well, but I know what I mean, so I'll show you and then you'll know. Okay, so I've cut that apart and that should fit around here, in there, which it does. So then the next step is to put some double-sided tape down. So double-sided tape onto the bag, not the other thing, just the bag. And then wrap it around so that it finishes here. Now this needs to be firm but not super tight. So it rolls, and then I'll cut this piece off. I will round the corners of this, just on the one side. Just want to make sure I've got it up the right way. So this one, just put that piece of tape to the end and add another piece on here. I'm actually going to make this pull up and down like this rather than side to side. So yes, my papers are directional, but I'm happy to live with that. So I'm going to put one on here like this. And then I'm going to pull this around till it gets to the end. So once you've got that piece on, flip it over, make sure that that's on that end. Put some double-sided tape on your other piece and then stick it down right up here against this edge. Line it up with the other piece as best you can. Okay, so now we have this that will flip in and out, but obviously we need to put a bit more on it. Run some foam tape down here. And on the bottom piece as well. This just holds the paper up so that the paper doesn't get in the way. The piece I'm going to put on top now doesn't get in the way of the sliding mechanism. I've got my cardstock here, which I'll put on. I think it's probably easier that I turn this over and put it down on the back piece so I get it centered and in where I want it. Just eyeballing that so it's sort of in the center. And I will stick this on top of it so that we don't have the white cardstock showing. And on the back, more foam tape goes down. And then I'll put the piece that I cut for the backing on top of here. It's covering that foam tape, and that will be the piece that I can stick down into the journal. And there you go. It's not too thick. I've only got 2 pieces of thin foam tape in there. And then I've now got this. Now, I think that I've done it this way, and obviously when it's in the journal, that might be a bit hard to pull out. That I should have perhaps put it this way so that I can pull these up and down, I'll have, you know, the top and the bottom of the journal to do that. So I will put mine up this way. I know it's sort of, you know, should be the other way, but it doesn't matter. I just have to hold it up so I can position it somewhat in the centre of this page. There you go. And then we pull and they'll come out, and then you push. Isn't that cool? I think that's great. So yet another card idea that I've translated over into my junk journal. That's all I'm going to do today. I'm going to hunt out some more of these card ideas, go back and look at my samples from years ago and see what else I can bring across to my junk journals. Until next time, this is Deborah. Cheers.